So all of those tests that we have, we have to answer questions, right? So, A, B, C, or D, what is the answer? Like, what's the closest to you and your personality? Now, with human design, the test is actually not based on questions. It's actually based on your time and place of birth. And it is actually, that's why we kind of call it a personality test for your soul instead. And it helps you to really understand yourself in a really deep level.
Welcome back to the Virtual Antics podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Guzman, and I am so excited because today I am with Charlie, who is a business coach specializing in human design. And I'm so excited because this is something that I've heard about, especially as a business owner, but I've never really dived into. So thanks for coming on the podcast, Charlie.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Natalie.
Yes, I'm so excited. So can you tell me a little bit about, how you kind of started? I know you have a marketing background.
Yeah, of course. So I've been in marketing for, all of my career, 15 years or so. And I think, sort of 10 years ago, I started dabbling in a little bit of social media management and a couple of, little bits of freelancing here and there. And I think eventually I just kind of wanted to really go into, business and marketing coaching. My day job was in a business support service. So it was a very easy transition for me to go from a business and marketing advisor to a business and marketing coach, really, for entrepreneurs.
That is so cool. So now that you're, coaching business owners and entrepreneurs, how do you bring human design? Like, what does that look like?
Okay, so human design kind of like came into my life about 3 years ago. And essentially what it is it is a personality test for the soul. So you know how you can get, all these personality tests like Myers-Briggs, and like there's like colors tests as well, like are you red or yellow or whatever. So all of those tests that we have, we have to answer questions, right? So, A, B, C, or D, what is the answer? Like what's the closest to you and your personality? Now, with human design, the test is actually not based on questions. It's actually based on your time and place of birth. And it is actually, that's why we kind of call it a personality test for your soul instead. And it helps you to really understand yourself in a really deep level. And just like any other personality test, you get given a type, and there's 5 types in human design. And from there, you can just dive deeper and deeper down all the layers of human design if you want to. You can, just start at type and, like learn all about that. But actually, the further into human design you go, the deeper you can kind of really start to understand yourself.
Oh, that is really interesting, especially when it comes to like specializing in human design for business, because I know, especially as an entrepreneur myself, I get lost, right? And I feel like maybe if I understood, more of that human design aspect, that maybe I wouldn't be as lost in certain aspects and areas. Now, is there a way to target like human design like in a specific area? So like I know as a business owner, I'm always like looking at lead generation, or maybe I'm struggling with building a team. Is there a way to like really narrow it down that far?
Yeah, absolutely. You can use human design for everything. So when it comes to building a team, obviously, we know just in our general sort of day-to-day entrepreneurship that some people will be really good at some tasks and some people will be really good at other tasks. And you employ usually, the people that are good for those tasks. And that's how you kind of build your team. And actually, human design can kind of back that up, because human design can actually tell you, yes, this person is going to be really good at this, and yes, this person is going to be really good at that. And you can really start to build a team that really sort of like supports each other and almost kind of like fills the gaps of, each other, because we all have things that we're not good at. We all have things that we're good at. You can kind of build a team that fills the gaps for sure. And I think the other kind of application of human design can literally just be, as an entrepreneur and as someone who maybe doesn't have any like employees yet, or even, you know, that hires anybody or outsources anybody. The other way that you can use it is you can help your, you know, that mind chatter and that kind of the limiting belief side of things. Because, you know, we all have this ego that kind of goes, you know, we have an idea and then the ego goes, oh, no, you can't do that because, you know, oh, you haven't got, you know, that quality in you, or, oh, you haven't got the time, or, oh, you haven't got the resources. And that human design can really help you to understand whether you can go and do that, or whether, you know, you need to kind of like sit back and think, right, I need this resource from this person and this resource from that person, and together you can kind of create what you love and what you're looking for.
Oh man, I could have used you years ago. So I had to build the team really, really quickly. And within 3 months, actually within my first month of starting the open agency, I had to hire 3 people within 30 days. And I definitely had struggles. And you know, I try to think like, you know what, like I needed, you know, a website designer, I needed a project manager. Those are 2 different personalities. And it was like, it was really hard to just kind of figure that out. And I definitely, especially a project manager, it's a very unique role, I feel like. And so you need a very unique personality, you know, like that A-type personality. And so that was probably one of the hardest roles to fill for my company. So I think I definitely could have used you years ago and definitely in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, this, you know, could be the future of business, is that, you know, human design professionals can actually go into businesses, into, you know, the human resources or the employment resources, you know, part of the business, and just, you know, organize, like, you know, who has what, and, you know, what talents do we have in the business, and what we're missing, and what do we need. So I do think that there's going to be an amazing application of the human design system in the future because of that. At the moment, I think, you know, when, you know, you are a sole trader, or you're just an entrepreneur that's kind of selling your services and people are buying you as a person, there's something about the magnetism that human design can really sort of like bring to life. And, you know, when you're so confident about who you are, when you're really clear about who you are and what you can do, and you've got the boundaries of, you know, knowing who you are and what you can do, that means you show up. So, you know, when we're talking about showing up on social media, or, you know, on podcasts, or, you know, wherever it is that you're going to be showing up, you will bring that magnetism because you've got that, you know, sort of like real clear understanding of who you are with human design.
That's amazing. Now, say that human design has shown you that, you know, one of your strengths is just not this skill set. So what do you do from there? Is it possible to actually grow that skill set, or is it something that you just kind of want to avoid?
So I think there's kind of like 2 elements to it. Yes, you can grow that skill set if you really want to. But usually on a human design chart, it will kind of say, yeah, maybe you're kind of like missing that little part of you. And it's actually your mind that's trying to sort of like hook on to that bit that you're missing, in which case it's actually better to outsource it. Although the thing is with me is that I love researching and I love investigating. So actually, if it was something that lit me up, I know that I can go out there and I can learn it myself. And that's one of the things that I know about my human design. But actually there are other, you know, sort of like traits in your personality where you might not be an investigator, you might not be a researcher. So therefore, yeah, just, you know, one way to get rid of overwhelm really easily is to just, you know, think to yourself, right, I can't really do that task. I don't really have the skills. I'm just going to outsource it because it's just going to be so much easier for me. And then the overwhelm, you know, sort of disappears and you can get on with, you know, what you love doing in your business.
That's awesome, because I know definitely personally, I have kind of done, I do everything in my business first before I outsource it. So I might not do it well, but I just want to have that understanding, right, of the skill. That's probably part of my human design there.
Yeah.
But so, but I know what I don't do well, and I what I do well, but I bet you there is even more of an understanding that I'm not realizing because I haven't really dived into this subject. What would be the first step if I wanted, or if an entrepreneur wanted to get into human design? What will we do?
Okay, so first of all, you actually need to understand like who you are on in the human design chart. So I don't know whether you've ever run your own astrology chart or anything like that online, but it's a very similar thing. So there's certain websites that you can go to. The ones that I use are mybodygraph.com. And all you have to do is put in your details. This is your birth details, like what day you were born, what time, where you were born, kind of to the nearest city would be fine. And then that will generate a chart for you. Now, the chart, when you do an astrology chart, it is really complicated when you first look at it, especially when you don't know what you're doing. It's the same with human design, unfortunately. So you kind of look at it and you go, well, what on earth does that mean? So, of course, that is when you can either go off and investigate yourself, and you would always start at your type, and you would kind of understand what it is, what it means to be your type. So there's 5 types in human design. There's the generator, the manifesting generator, the projector, the manifester, and the reflector. So you would go away and you would kind of like try and understand a little bit about your type. But if you wanted to dive in a little bit more, then I would actually suggest you hire somebody who is able to kind of read your chart, essentially. So analyze it for you, helps you to understand what, this means and what that means, and, basically give you a reading and tell you all about your personality.
That's awesome. And that's exactly what you do. So can you tell us where we can find you and get in contact with you if we're looking for human design?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I do readings myself. So you can come and sit with me on Zoom for 90 minutes and we will go over every aspect of your chart. And the best thing about this is that you can ask me questions and I can ask you questions. So we can kind of really get a conversation going around the way that you run your business, the way that you do your marketing, even like very practical things like like how to do your content, how to run your business, how to do this, and everything else that comes with business. So you can find me on Instagram at the Charlie Garnham, and my website is charliegarnham.com.
Awesome. I'll make sure I link that in the notes below. And I'm so excited you're here. Thank you so much for joining me, Charlie.
Thank you. Thanks, Natalie.